Buckle up, all you hooligans out there. This one's going to be a doozy. So you can actually go to the link down in the description to read the article and the much shorter version of this. Otherwise, you're in for a pretty long explanation for this. And this is only going to benefit you, us, and all us other indie filmmakers that are out there. So pick one or both if you'd like to. Check out the Film Jammer article down below, or let's delve into it. What's up, hooligans? This is Jay Hooligan, and hope everybody had a great Christmas and holidays. I know we're ending the year, and I wanted to put out this video as kind of an introduction of what we've been working on, or what we've been talking about in our groups, because it's something that's been going on for a long time. And as a filmmaker, it's very surprising to see the complete lack of anybody else talking about this. Now, I understand there's the elections, there's COVID, there's shutdowns, there's all sorts of stuff that's going on. But at the same time, there's these weird moves that have been happening in our industry, and people in our industries aren't talking about it. And what I'm talking about is something that almost mirrors exactly what happened a century ago in film. So let me just start out. There's just a little bit of background about myself. I go by Jay Hooligan from Hyde Hooligan Films. I'm a writer, director, and producer at Hyde Hooligan Films. I'm also a producer at The Wandering Kiltsman, and a writer at Film Jammer, which is an entertainment news aggregate site and blog. So that just means we gather news from all sorts of news outlets that are from the industry, and we bring them all together so you can go through and see which ones we find, which pieces of news that we find might be beneficial for you. You know, it's nothing too formal, but we do have our system for it, and we also do our own blog when certain things come up. Now, man, how long ago was this article that I wrote? I ended up writing an article back in October of this year, and I called it Film Wars: Disney Officially Announces Remonopolization of Film Industry. And I know I put that out there to tease people for what I'm actually talking about, but it is actually a valid claim. And that has a lot to do with what I'm talking about with film history and what happened literally a century ago in the 1920s. Now, if you don't know the history, there's a reason why there's a separation between studios and movie theaters. All right, if you've kept up with the film industry, you've known that there's this whole thing that went down with Trolls World Tour, where theaters were upset that they were circumvented, they were bypassed to go straight to VOD, right? Because it's considered a tentpole animation, right? A very big film from a big studio, from one of the big studios. And there was this whole big uproar on it. And the thing is, though, it's not just about like, well, they're just not giving them their cut. There's a long history behind it, and it literally goes back to it. So here's the thing that goes on with that. Back in the 1920s, okay, there was a lawsuit put out, an antitrust case put out against the big six studios that were out there, that started with indie filmmakers and theater owners. Now, if you don't understand what the antitrust laws do for you, that essentially means like any of these big companies cannot monopolize their industry or build steps to monopolize the industry. What that meant back in the 1920s was that the big six, they would have their own they would own their actors, their directors, the stories, the content, the movies, and their distribution. They call that vertical integration or a monopoly. All right. I like to hashtag as many articles with vertical integration as I can on Film Jammer, just so you understand, like, this is something that you should be paying attention to if you're a filmmaker or even in the industry. All right. Why this is important, okay, and why I'm going to be doing more of these talks. And you can actually go and look at that article. I'll leave a link down below for this particular article, the Film Wars article that I wrote, and it literally outlines, I believe, back from August through October. I think it may even go before that. At least there were some mentions of different articles before that. Um, all these announcements that Disney had made, and now Warner Brothers has come out saying the same thing, to essentially say they're bypassing theaters to go straight to their streaming platform. And again, people might go, "Oh, but it's streaming, it's COVID, there's shutdowns, etc., etc." Yeah, but here's the thing. Back in August, I believe it was. No, I believe it was in July. Disney had announced, like, yeah, we're moving over to a VOD for some of our movies, but it's not. It's not a new form of distribution, as a way to kind of cover that literal vertical integration that they're doing. Okay. Then the success of Trolls World Tour and everything like that, almost a month later, they're like, nah, we're gonna do it. We're just gonna focus and just put stuff out purely on Disney Plus. So now they own all the actors, all the content, the directors, everybody that's under them, and the distribution model. There was even an article that came out on August 10th where they abandoned physical media releases. That means DVDs, Blu-rays, all those sales were taken out of the picture. So now they don't have DVDs and Blu-rays that they're selling through third parties. They don't have theaters. They purely have everything vertically integrated as a monopoly to them. I don't know. I'm jumping around so much because we've talked so much about this amongst ourselves and other indie filmmakers that are out here. So I apologize if I'm missing a lot of this stuff. I'm trying to get the gist of it so you guys can tell. Anyway, but vertical integration, why this is bad. CAA just came out, I believe it was last week or the week before, talking about how they were upset with Warner Brothers in their new push to push all their content to HBO Max, which is all under the same umbrella of the same companies, because, and they said it, the back pay is now all screwed up. Because all the ticket sales that they would get on top of the theater distribution and the PRs they did for theater releases, whether they were going to do them or not, that's all part of the package deals for their actors and their talent that they represent. What that also means is, again, that they're talking about an effect. They're talking about the effect, one of the effects of vertical integration. Okay? But they're not understanding the root cause of it, which is literally the monopolization of the film industry, which is vertical integration. Now, in this article that I wrote, I also pointed out how they did it. And it really goes back to, I believe it was 2010, 2009, 2010 with Netflix. Right? Netflix started out as a DVD distribution company. They would take content and rent it out to people. They would send it back, etc., etc. And what they decided to do was start Netflix Originals. Now, how they got away with this was and the studios didn't decide to do this, and this is when the film war started just a few years ago, and why everyone was on this mad rush to do it is because Netflix started to win awards for the content they were getting with no punishment for vertical integration or antitrust. And the whole reason, the whole purpose for that is because they are considered new media. Now, if you followed anything for filmmaking on the producing side in the industry, when you're talking about, oh, when we're making theater or TV, or movies for theater, movies for TV or TV series and stuff like that, there's a whole new section that has been open for a while now called new media. Now, even in the guilds, they have certain guidelines for new media. And that's because the laws are not, there are almost no laws like that are restricting people on new media, even in the guilds. In fact, if you put, no, this is for new media. When Netflix decided to go streaming, okay, it was considered new media and no longer under all the antitrust protections for us, the independent filmmakers and movie theaters, right? It was no longer protected under those because that was for physical media that they sent out to the theaters. And then they moved on with that. And then because they didn't get hit with it, and they're like, oh, wait. The studios were smart. They had the lawyers go through all this stuff and go, no, not the time. Wait, let's just watch. Hey, they're winning awards. We don't like that they're winning awards. They had that whole fiasco with the Oscars of how they didn't want them to release because the contracts that they have for a 90-day release window onto a VOD platform, has to be 90 days for tentpole movies or whatever in the theater before it goes onto any sort of VOD platform. Then they started circumventing all those different things. I don't know if you remember all that, but it happened. And then there was a mad rush to get their own streaming platforms out there because they were not getting hit with antitrust laws. And now, 100 years later, the big studios are back on it again. And again, why is this bad news for us indie filmmakers? Well, there was already a trend that was starting to begin. It's past 5 years. Past 5 years, for the first time in history, film and entertainment, excluding even the music industry, became the number one industry in America. The number one industry, okay? If you think about that there are two reasons why California is the fifth largest economy in the world, or however big it is, and that's tech. This is the home of tech. All the big tech companies are here, and film. So film being the number one industry in the United States for the past few years. I don't know if that's true still today, especially past this last year. But with them being the number one industry, guess what? When they start monopolizing and vertically integrating, you know who gets hit and who has been getting hit? We do. All of you guys that are working in the industry, who are getting paid squat, who still have problems getting your pay. The creators that are sending their stuff out to, say, Netflix or Amazon Prime or stuff like that. I mean, if you're bypassing the theatrical release where you make a lot of your sales and your revenue back for your ROI for your film is completely cut out now, because we call that optics, right? What's visually there? Well, streaming is there. It's readily available. We'll sell it for like 99 cents or $2 or $3, and we'll just make all our money back. You will not. And it drives all those companies that have the capital, like Disney, Warner Brothers, and now just today I read that article from Viacom CBS where they announced, oh, we're going to wait till next year to tell you about our new streaming distribution plans. And it's like, well, I guess we're going to see if they're going to vertically integrate as well, because they've done it on smaller deals. Sure, kind of sounds like what Disney was doing back then too. They're going to move to bigger deals. So All of them are moving towards that, and all of us creators are getting hit. If you're not upset, that doesn't upset you at all, then man, whew, you must be happy with getting paid squat or even nothing at all. Saving your hard-earned money to make a film, whether it had great reviews or not, doesn't matter. For these big studios to move in and essentially push us even further down. This is exactly why vertical integration was fought against by who back in the 1920s? Indie filmmakers and theater owners. Okay? What sucks about that, what happened with that whole situation, is it's all archived. You can go and research this. It's a US versus Paramount, I believe, is the case. Actually, it started out indie filmmakers and movie theaters against the big six, and then it when it finally went to US versus Paramount for the antitrust case, that took them almost 20 years. 20 years in the 1940s. Did that not get resolved? I think it was 19. It was either not the 1940s or the late 1930s, and I gotta double check that. But it took them 20 years to go, okay. And I almost want to say it was either Universal or Paramount. One of the studios was finally the first one to go, you know what, we're going to sell that. We're going to sell our studios, shut them down. And movie theaters, great. This is also why you don't see deals between, like specialized deals between movie theaters and studios until this last year. Because movie theaters used to get the short end of the stick. We'll give you whatever we want to. We'll give you what we want. We got our own studio, so we decide what movies you guys get. And then they were not, that there was a complaint by the movie theaters. We don't have the product. And this is how, again, how we got past the whole, well, it's a vertical integrated or a monopoly from the big studios. This is literally going on right now. It's been going on for months now. They've been making bigger moves, and they've been completely open about it. And absolutely no one is talking about it. I really suggest you look at that article just to go and really get down the dates to see where they were doing, because we've been posting about a lot of this stuff. We've been following a lot of the industry news. We post about 5 or 6 times a day, Monday through Friday, to try to get you guys caught up on that. But it also keeps us fresh on what's going on there. We do try to stay away from the political stuff because you can find that stuff anywhere, but we try to keep it towards what's happening in there, like the whatever's happening between, or at least feed you the articles for what's happening out there, like the WGA and the WME, the whole thing that's going on between there, you know. But we do want to start adding more to that. But this is such a big issue. This is what spawned the whole stream wars. This has spawned the whole, there have been books, I forget the author's name. He used to be the CEO of Avid, and he went to all these big studios to find out, oh, yep, the pay for creators are just constantly getting suppressed and suppressed and suppressed. We're not getting paid what it is. They're literally paying pennies to the millions or thousands of millions of dollars for it. All right. If you don't know anything about distribution for Netflix or Hulu or any of these other streaming platforms, again, usually on your distribution model, that's about your third one down that you're going to, your second or your third down, on how you get paid back your money. And the thing is, though, they'll pay you a flat fee a lot of times. Right? Netflix pays up to on their flat fees to get distributed onto their platform. I think it's up to $12,000 for an independent film. Now, if you spent $100,000 of your own money, whether you've got a non-exclusive contract with them or not, and you're trying to get onto Hulu and maybe they don't bite, or you try to get on these other platforms and they don't bite, well, you've got a maximum of roughly $12K, and you're in the hole. You are now in the hole by 88. Math. 88,000, right? That's all your hard-earned cash and money out the window. Okay. The reason why they're big is because of pre-sales, theater sales, ticket sales, right? And then moving into transactional sales, whether it's TVOD or wherever you're buying it off of Amazon, whatever. There were reasons why they was set up this way. And now all of that is taken out and go, you know what? We don't need your theaters. We're just going to charge our premium for our platform. And then people pay a subscription, and then they did that whole thing where with Mulan, like Disney Plus did, and now you pay your subscription and another fee if you want to watch this movie. So they're literally taking your place, which is also another reason why it's super weird that movie theaters aren't fighting out against this. All right, I've been wanting to contact NATO, and not the government NATO. That it's the National Association National Association of Theater Owners. Okay, and really, they like, dude, do you guys not know your own history? Because nobody's fighting against this, and that's really awkward. You guys are getting hit from sales. You're not getting the content. You're literally repeating exactly what happened 100 years ago. Just now, instead of actual film, like the film cases that they would send out, it's now, or excuse me, the theaters, studios owning their own theaters, they have a whole new platform for streaming because there are no new media laws to prevent them from having antitrust, no antitrust laws against new media. And it's that big loophole, and sure enough, they are expanding upon it. I mean, I'll give credit to their lawyers and the CEOs that have been making these moves for a while. Like, they're definitely banking on it, while the rest of us, and not just the people in the film industry, but everybody, is getting hit through this year with COVID and the lockdowns and businesses shutting down and our livelihoods are getting taken away. You've got these guys that are literally still earning more than what they did. They furloughed a lot of their employees to stay in standard, but all these CEOs and big studios are making bank off of you, me, and everybody. Again, there are reasons. There are big reasons why we had that separation. That separation to go to theaters first. That there weren't any special deals to go, oh, no. You guys can get the 30-day window. Sure. Everybody else is 90-day. No. I don't know what's going on with those guys. I don't know. I'm not in the room. Nobody's in those rooms to make those deals. And guess what? If you're an indie filmmaker like my team, or the teams that I work with, we will get lost in all that. And nobody will see that. We'll literally be trying to do exactly what we've been doing now, with trying to beg for people to come see our films instead of marketing, instead of going through a distributor to distribute to a movie theater. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe theaters might transform into these, very artsy style films where they only purely show indies, but then of course they'd get shut down, or they'd run down to dollar theaters like they used to have back in the 90s, where you'd pay $1 to go see a frickin' movie because it's been out and it's past that window and it's already available on DVD or to buy or to stream or wherever it is. And then they get shut down anyway because they're not earning enough money. And then who's going to see the films, and how are you going to get paid? So, again, vertical integration is horrible for filmmakers, particularly indie filmmakers. Right? We're getting the short end of the stick, just like the movie theaters. And unless we all start to speak up about it, start talking about it, start doing your own damn research about it, like, I'm surprised of how many people have not even heard of all this stuff. I think it was a couple months ago on one of my buddy's posts. Somebody who's not in the industry tries to go, yeah. That's why the movie theaters and the studios have a deal. They can't break that deal. And it's like with Trolls World Tour. They're not supposed to break the deal. You know, it's like, no, that's not how distribution works on that. And what followed was that whole fiasco with going even further with, oh, well, we made a deal with them. We'll accept their films again, but with the stipulation of they don't need the 90-day. Again, there are reasons for those distribution windows for. So, again, if you're not upset about this and talking about this and doing your own research about it, again, I don't know what to tell you. If you like living poor, good on you. If you don't like getting paid for your work, I don't know, maybe you're not in the right industry, you know, but I want more filmmakers to understand their own history of their industry on that. It's such a huge integral part of how we get paid. And the fact that we don't get that, especially as indies, that's why we keep failing over and over again. That's why the big studios keep winning all these big things. Not just because that's how they get the capital, right? They know how to market. They know how to sell. And everyone's always on that I know there's that whole stigma of, well, you know, if you sell your film, you know, you're selling out. It's like, no, there's a great quote, and I know I dog on Disney a lot, but there's a great quote by Walt Disney, and he says, we don't make movies to make money. We make money so we can make movies. And there's absolutely nothing wrong for getting paid for your hard work. And if you think that selling your stuff, you selling your art for a price makes you a sellout, like, then man, I don't know what to tell you. You gotta eat. You like living off of, you know, cup of noodles, ramen. Like, I've done that, you know, and I don't want to do that anymore. Why? Because I don't have to. So again, I don't know what to tell people anymore if I ever hear that sort of stuff. You know, get paid for your work. That's always been the dream and the goal, right? This is how to do it. Learn distribution, right? Learn about your history. Start raising, you know, the awareness of it. Any sort of change, no matter what it is. I think I put a video out, like 5 steps to change. Always takes the 5 steps. Number 1 is always awareness. You must be aware of the problem. And nobody is aware of this problem. And I don't know why. It is literally in our history. I learned that in film school. Right? And people, a lot of people dog on film school students. You know, there's this whole stigma like, oh, you guys are all theory and whatnot. That's one thing I loved about my degree. My bachelor's is in a bachelor's of science, not a bachelor's of art. That means we practiced, we understood the theory, we studied the theory, and then we practiced it. Because this whole weird stigma of if you got a bachelor's or an art degree in film, that means you've never filmed. You don't understand what it's like on set. I was like, no, fool, we acid tested that. We were in there day in, day out. We tested shots, we tested gear, we tested lighting, we tested everything. Right? And that was the thing too, is we didn't specialize in one for the program that I went to. We went through from development all the way through post-production to get a final product. And we held practically every single position on there. It was great. I loved the structure for the school that I went to. You know? But the one thing they don't teach you on there again is distribution. I learned all this stuff afterwards. Okay? But get past all those weird stigmas out there. Nobody says that you're a sellout. And if you believe you're a sellout for selling your film, then why are you even doing it? Then it's a hobby. You're not a filmmaker. You're just doing it as a hobby. You're not a professional. You're a hobbyist. And I've seen hobbyists. I've seen people make feature films. Multiple feature films in a year. Who did nothing to market their film. Look, and I know this is an edge case, so please don't hit me on that. I understand that for a fact. But Blair Witch. Why was Blair Witch successful? They made Blair Witch Project for $12,000. $12,000. How much? That's probably about as much as people ask for their indie films now on their Kickstarter or Seed and Spark campaigns, right? When they want to build funds for their indie films. an entire feature film for $12,000, and they were smart about it. How much did they make on that? Millions. Why? Do you remember what happened when they released that film? They marketed it the way it was supposed to be marketed. Found footage was not new at all. There were plenty of found footage films, but the way that they marketed it, it's very similar to how they marketed The Fourth Kind. The marketing is what got people interested. Doesn't matter if they released at local theaters or whatnot for Blair Witch. It mattered about the marketing. 12,000 to millions, right? And again, if you don't remember all that, how they marketed that, they marketed it like it was real. That it's a found footage. Again, people in the horror community already know what found footage is, right? But they marketed it like it was real, and they said, we found, the police have these tapes, and it was reconstructed by filmmakers. Okay? The Fourth Kind. Hello, my name is Mila Jovovich, and I am an actress portraying a real life person who you will see the actual footage. They were other actors. They were unknown actors. And they combined it. You can go look at them on IMDb. But I mean, that type of move for that marketing, that's old school. I mean, it's like Cannibal Holocaust. That's another one that was found footage, and it was built into their contracts for the actors. Like, you couldn't do any movies after that for an entire year. You couldn't do any PRs. You couldn't be out in public. You had to hide your face. All that sort of stuff. To the point where people thought they killed them on film and sold it. And they literally took them to court, and he had to pull them out of their contracts to go, no, we signed these things that say, like, the marketing for it, man. There's a great saying, like, it everyone likes to say, oh, it's who you know in this industry, and it's wrong. It's who knows you. Okay? Who knows you? That means that's the marketing side to it. I know it's a whole tangent for that, but again, the point still stands. And if you know any of my videos or know me at all, you know I digress a lot, and I do a lot of anecdotal stories and things like that where I go off and down too many rabbit holes all at once. It's just how my mind works. So I apologize if you can't keep up, but again, it all comes back to knowing your craft and knowing how they move, the how and why it is the way it is. You don't have to know and do it all. You don't have to know how to distribute and do all this stuff on your own. You can hire distributors for that, but you should know what it is you're distributing and to why. I went to a here's another anecdotal thing. I went to a film panel and listened to some indie filmmakers talk about how they distributed their film, and there was a guy there who was talking about how he got distributed, and all these young filmmakers were asking him questions, and my business partner and I were going, oh, that's bad advice. Oh, that's not how you're doing it. Yeah. You could if you could take 5 years to do your film, you're right on track. Like, no, you don't have to be that long. You don't have to take all that time and energy and just capital. This is like filming, not pre-production development. Like, they are filming over the course of 5 years. Like, no, don't do that. Like, and then, oh yeah, you can get distributed. I just sent it to my distributor, and all of a sudden they're an expert on distribution. It's like, well, you got distributed on Amazon Prime, which, if you know anything about Amazon Prime's distribution model, they offer a maximum of 12 cents per unique view. If you don't understand what that means per unique view, that means if I go in and watch a film, that's one unique film. Now, if I watch it a dozen times, that counts as one unique view total, not 12. Okay? Maximum 12 cents. Okay? You get that? 12 cents per unique view. So again, all these streaming platforms are where they're getting distributed. There are reasons. Optics. The theaters weren't wrong when they told them, you know, there's a standard of why when you go and premiere at a theater, it doesn't matter if it's local, it doesn't matter if it's for a few days or for a week, you know, like what happened with the Netflix one. They only premiered for, I think it was max 12 days, and everyone's all upset, but it still premiered in a theater and people still knew about it and it still followed all the rules for the Oscars, and it's, yeah, there was nothing wrong with it because it's still there, and they, Netflix changed their rules for all that. Nope. All the same thing, man. So, know your industry. Know this. You guys have the time to do it. If you're not working, you got to be mastering your craft on that. Learning more about it. And then learning when there's some bullshit going on like this. And again, we've had eyes on this for an entire year, and we've talked to many, many filmmakers to go, oh, and it's funny because once they knew about it, they started to see, oh yeah, I saw that article. Oh yeah, I saw them say that. Yeah. Awareness. How do you make any change? First, awareness. So, make people aware of this. I know it's a long video. I wasn't expecting it to be as long as it is now. Sorry, not sorry, because I want this out there, and I got tired of waiting for trying to figure out. Oh, I gotta get my whole setup up. Like, nah, I'm just gonna fill this. I'm tired of putting it off. So, again, let people know vertical integration. It is happening now. They are taking advantage of the lack of new media laws to bypass this whole thing. There are literal antitrust lawsuits going on against big tech. Why are there none against the film industry that are going on right now? Nobody's looking into it, and they're super open about it. That's the big one. They're open. They're telling you you're doing it. That was the whole reason why I put it that. Disney announces this because that is literally vertical integration and remonopolization. And for a fact, what have they been doing? Buy, because they got the capital for it. And now what are they doing? Well, we're going to put out what we want, where we want, mostly on our platform. And then now they're like, oh, yeah. We'll include the theaters. Literal history repeating itself. Go look it up. U.S. versus Paramount. Antitrust law case. It's all out there, guys. So, this is my semi-rant info video on that. I do want to be doing more of these. I will do much better at trying to organize my thoughts, since this was kind of done on a whim. A very long whim, I guess you can say. But I do want to start putting this out there for you guys. Not just for myself, but for you guys. Because, you know what? I don't know it all. I absolutely do not know it all. And I'm if you know me at all, I will always claim like I don't know enough. I'm always trying to learn it. I know what I know, but I never know all of it. So collectively, when people start bringing in their info together, man, that's going to expand upon this and really get that industry going to where it's like, hey, get us creators paid, because that's the thing, right? We want to be able to live for our craft, right? Not become slaves to it. All right, guys. New Year's coming up, so New Year's, new us, or whatever motto you want to use. So we'll see you guys in the next year. Happy New Year. See you later.